Hello, guys. Welcome back to 3% Perspective Podcast. I'm Morest.
I'm Austin. Today's podcast will not be joined by our member, me. So it's gonna be only the two of us.
Yeah. So today's topic is choosing the right university and basically everything about universities.
Mm-hmm.
Education is necessary if you have the chance. We can search for many new exciting things. We never know what will be interesting for us at what time.
Of
We're never
course.
stagnant. We move forward. The only difference is like timing and slow or fast, and you can never predict your future self, because we have a lot of things happening around us, which will somehow change our perception of reality.
Of course.
Well, we need to know if it is a misconception or not, and then we will need to decide whether we follow or not. And in this particular episode, we'll tell you about the story that we had in choosing a university. We'll be telling you if it's right, if it's still right or not, if it's wealthy or not, or if it's still going to be right for us later in our life. I bet this is going to be interesting. So if you experience something tough or unexpected when applying for university, don't forget to share with us.
And a disclaimer here. This is not something like a guideline to choose what university and what major you are supposed to be choosing. So this is just a podcast sharing thoughts and experience of about our university lives as 21-year-old podcasters. Without further ado, let's start with a question.
Okay.
The question is, what do you think of today's university enrollment system in this country?
I think in this country we have to make one of the most momentous decisions in our life, which is which university we want to join at a very young age, 15 or 16. That is often considered too young to go to university in many countries, like many other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, a problem that's even more awful is that once you have entered a particular university, you can possibly change track whatsoever.
Yeah,
Totally. It's totally shit. For example, when you've applied to an engineering school, you are not accessible to other academic fields except for distance education. Like zero access. Horrific, right?
of course, mate. Like for those who don't know distance education means that you can complete the whole university program within just under 3 or 6 months combined over the course of 4 years. So it sounds really ridiculous.
Yeah.
With that being said, Moraes, can you tell me the main reason behind you choosing the university you are attending right now?
Basically, at 16,
Mm-hmm.
you tend to be influenced either by your environment or your parents, or by yourself, who would probably change mind after a couple of years. And that personally happened to me. I graduated from high school at 16. At the time, my father was a general practitioner, my sister was a medical student, so all I had been exposed to my entire life was their work, which inspired me endlessly. So I decided to attend medical university as well. But 2 years in, I realized that this was not my fit. I mean, I wasn't afraid of blood, no corpses, which
Exactly.
is often what people fear most in the medical field. But I didn't find myself happy doing so. Medical subjects were not boring, but at the same time, they are not something that I could build my career on. I think as long as the university entry system remains unchanged,
Mm-hmm.
you might as well go through with setting such a very important life decision at that age,
Yeah,
given that you didn't fail the final exams in the previous academic years, of course.
yeah.
Uh, Overall, I suppose you should choose a university or college which best reflects your career path that you would like to lead in the future.
I agree with you. Because in a country with not many opportunities, affordable wages, and unfair personality environment, we have to try harder to be the best fit with the environment.
Huh.
I mean, we need to put our other people's opinion on the pedestal without prioritizing ourselves instead. Uh, By the way, another disclaimer here. You might hear me like sniffing a lot because I have a runny nose.
Yeah, it's totally okay.
Okay, so I find it very I find it very hard for us to create our path in which only a few people have succeeded and societies have bad records. So I guess you would feel it. To me, it was my family who had a lot of influence from their own parents, and also because they didn't finish their education journey until the end, so they wanted me to be a doctor.
Man, I can imagine that.
Yeah, they thought I would get to live a better life and would no longer have to work like they used to work. My father, my father used to work multiple jobs a day, and he always wanted to have a business of his own, and he never had a chance to do it. So, he never had a chance to own one. My mother also had basically the same path as my father, but a different version. You know, her parents couldn't afford to send my mom to university, and at that very young age, like 19 years old, she had to drop out and work for her family. By the way, she has a really big family. Like she had two big brothers and one little brothers and nine sisters. So basically, most of her siblings have to work to support their younger siblings. That's one of the main reasons they wanted me to be a doctor. By the time I graduated from high school, I had no idea what I wanted to become. I didn't know what to do and what my passion was. And I didn't want to be a businessman, so I had no interest in business. Then my parents told me that if I didn't know that what my dream was, becoming a doctor was a go-to plan. So basically, I chose medicine. And same as you, 2 years in, I didn't find myself being in the field. I see no future for me. I started skipping classes, neglecting studies, and having burnout all the time. So the thing I did at that time was playing games and procrastinating. So I guess you're true. It's very good to have a goal since you were a very young age. Having a goal post is like having an iPhone for your birthday. So it feels like very nice, very fresh, and always motivating.
Yeah.
Every time you see your phone. So by the way, if you change your path, like if you change your university, people will say that it's too late. You're gonna be an old guy between younger enthusiastic kids while they're having a good time chasing their dreams. They're like that's their talk. Like they talk shit about you all the time, but you can't technically change path here in this country because high school graduation certificates are no longer available for the years except the consecutive year that you graduated.
Yeah, of course. Speaking of which, that's what I'm gonna do this year. I'm gonna change my path, majoring in computer science, which has nothing to do with my previous field. I don't know why,
Wow.
man. Like, yeah, but one thing is that after you've turned 20, you're likely to evolve psychologically, which affects your decision-making process. You find your childhood dreams ridiculous. You find your teenage euphoria and promising. I felt that too. The pandemic hit us too hard. We felt like a lost cause. We got depressed, anxious, and suffered from an existential crisis.
Yeah.
And overthinking, of course. I overthought a lot about my past. What if I didn't choose medicine? Now I know that it's never too late. As you were saying, I'll basically be like an old guy among younger teenagers, but at least I'll find happiness and enthusiasm in what I'm doing.
Exactly, mate. I see it. Like it really make me enticing just by hearing that you're changing your path finally. Because I think that that's the thing that you really like computer science, right?
Yes, of course. Medical field is something that I can't find productive anymore. And later on in your life, it is really important that what you're doing should resonate with what you really want to do.
Yeah, of course.
When we choose a university, the first thing to think about is whether this particular university guarantees the career path that we want to, we really want to work on in the future. What I say might be a little bit scoffable, but you are one of the most important human beings in the world, working for the betterment of different communities. But at first, what you do has to match
Mm.
what you want to do so that you can be more efficient to yourself and other people. And in other words, you also have to ask yourself what you desire to do. As for me, I was too late, and
Hmm.
maybe I was not in a perfect situation where I could make such a decision without any outer force.
In this country, which has been destroyed by the military dictators for decades, the education system is totally fucked up. You know,
Yes.
when it comes to basic education taught up to grade 11, the test books haven't been updated since 1980 or 1990 or something like that. So we don't have access to the contemporary education at all. We are technically left behind on everything, but thanks to the advanced technology that we are having right now, that we are using right now, so internet has brought us everything.
Yeah.
They help us learn more about the outside world, and
Yeah.
movie series, games, and content found on the internet, just you name it, you name it. So what I want to say is that you should be proud of yourself if you didn't give time only to your academic education when you were really young, but you decided to explore the world around you through many different ways.
Yeah, of
That
course.
can sometimes be a great asset to your decision making process. But of course, we can't take it lightly, can we?
No.
Like you can still come across your niche through a lot of ways that are not concerned with the academic study at all.
Yeah, except for some university in this country, many others don't guarantee that you're going to be a specialist in that area, in the area that you major in. For example, geography, history, etc. So, what a history major tends to do, I mean, in this country, is run a, is run a clothing business or something like that, back in a hometown rather than trying to be a historian or whatever. So this is what's happening in this country. Many important subjects and fields turn out to be underrated ones, and very few definite career plans can be drawn out of them. And even if you're going for something new and exciting, you will be named by society as incompetent and useless. This is a huge problem that the young are confronted with these days in this country. Society will scoff at you for being different until you achieve success, but doing what you're really passionate about is number one priority.
It has to be in that way, I guess, because look, only a few universities out there throughout the country offer a clear path, but students are millions in number. How can they be able to handle that?
Yeah,
And when the technology comes in the way with the internet, more majors are open up, and also the job opportunities too. You don't have to look out in the streets for the pamphlets stuck on the stuck to lampposts or telephone booths like it used to before. It's already out of date.
yeah, it's a huge change.
Whenever we need to understand a topic, we just go on the internet and search the problems with one click. I mean, it's more than one click. You know what I want to say.
Yeah,
So I guess changing or choosing path, one or whatever you want to do, has become easier than it was before.
totally. It is like greatly facilitated by the internet, of course.
And our generation is immensely dependent on technology for nearly everything. A step above it would be that some young children would like to pursue a career in technology, but their parents won't let them do it. That's at least according to the internet memes, very common among Asian societies. That we have we have meme lords.
Yeah,
So
of
Asian
course.
parents can be conservative at times and thinking that they are the master of their children, manipulating their decisions, and like even worse, meddling with their privacy. Like that is just normal for Asian parents. A disclaimer here: I'm not totally pissed off by Asian cultures, but we want to make important decisions on our own, don't we?
Yeah, 100%. Till in our 20s, not even teenage years, we are still being stuck out noses by others. Even sometimes we've got no chance to end bottling up feelings with our closest human beings on earth, but we lose trust in them because because of certain reasons. In that way, we believe less in ourselves while embarking on new things that excite us.
Very horrible, man.
Yeah, it makes me think that it is a kind of gaslighting.
Yes, exactly.
So, what was your expectation when you went to university?
You mean regardless of not knowing what you wanted to be at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I would be changing the way that I was back then. I thought I would become the cool guy who doesn't talk much, always immersed in the schoolwork and never hang out guy. I was so lazy when it came to studying. I always took more time than I should. I just did random stuff.
You told me once about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to become a version of me that will never turn me off in things I choose to do. But it was never like that. So the thing I want to say is you never have to be perfect. It has to be the best for you. So choose something that will turn you on whatever you do.
What? What do you mean? Something that would turn you on?
Why?
Because, it has a triple meaning. Turn you on.
Oh, okay. Turn you on here means that the things that interest you a lot.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, so you might face so you might face strange situations that you are never accustomed to. That situation
Yeah.
might be worse than you can think of. So hold on to your dream and passion because these are the things that will keep you alive in church situations.
Totally.
I thought I would catch up all the lessons and lectures, and I would have good grades throughout the whole semester. But it turned out to be the opposite. I know it's ridiculous. I fail tests like I never did before. Like, I fail almost every test. It's not almost. It's just like literally all the tests. Like sometimes I fail all the subjects. But we only have 3 subjects: like anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry. So basically, the subjects that I failed most was biochemistry. So I failed biochemistry in every test, and I failed physiology barely. So I think it's only 2 or 3 times, I guess. So I didn't find it very happy and very suitable for me. And maybe you would remember there is a time that I felt so depressed and devastated that I couldn't would talk to you. So it was all in my head. I used to cry a lot. So it's not because I failed. It's because of what my parents would think of me if they found out that I was failing. But they did find out. They did find out anyway. So there is a parent teacher meeting for those who were not doing very well in class tests, and that meeting was to remind and to tell the parents what was going on. So I dread my parents come in, and it's not because of the society. It's not because my friends would see, because all of them knew that I failed. So it was because of how my parents would think of me, like what they would do to me, and like how they would treat me. So I was so worried about that. It was so awful at that time, So I did a lot of things against my parents. My parents don't want me to see playing games, hanging out with friends, and watching movies, and just doing nothing. There's one thing that they didn't really want me to do, which is everything related to photography. So it's basically all the videos and photos and all the other things. But that was the thing that I was fond of. I find it really interesting. I know it's really opposite to them, but I started my feeling for like video and like editing videos and stuff like that. So I started joining projects which can give me a lot of pressure and pleasure at the same time, of course. So I did talk to my parents that I should go to media schools, but they hugely frowned upon and turned me down. But we're literally living in an age where almost everyone has a cell phone. So that's the way for me. That's the path for me. And I started learning free education from the internet, and that's when I embarked upon film. So it seems like the contrary. So you can just see that my 2 version of myself. going from a boy who wants to do the operations on the human's brain to a boy who's trying to do on the videos. Can you imagine that? Like, that's how
No.
different we can be, and how much affect the society and literally the country situation have on huge citizen.
Yeah, there's a truly intimidating dichotomy between what other people want you to do and what you really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame that sometimes people around you insist that you go to a particular university only because they want you to have a good reputation, or maybe they want to gain a passive reputation by having you.
Wait, I didn't notice that.
That's mental. I have to say, a third country like Myanmar is filled with people who have a conservative outlook on career fields. It's like an internet meme where in a pool, the mother is giving her attention only to her young infant while neglecting the older child who is drowning. Drawing an analogy, if the mother represents older people in Myanmar, the infant would be popular professions like medicine, engineering, and the drowning child would be like video editing, animation, computer science, etc.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I'm not saying all,
So,
but most of the elderly here literally roll their eyes as the idea of young people wanting to chase a career in technology. I don't know why, maybe because they weren't much exposed to technology when they were young. That's a really big gap for them to catch the continuously advanced technology app. I thought I would have fun, of course, and I did a lot of fun attending university. I met a lot of new friends, and that was totally like heaven. But as I was saying, it didn't align with what I truly wanted to do. You know,
mm-hmm.
as a career, it was like something I only knew in hindsight. At 16, who would have known things like in 10 years I'd be an engineer building houses around the city, or maybe a teacher who is well known across the country.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, no, we didn't know that. We were not wise enough to choose a good university, so I was basically one of those people and opted to go to the University of Medicine.
So rather than giving us options, they were more focused on what they really wanted to see. That's selfish.
Yeah. Uh, my freshman year was still fine, but in my sophomore year, I started to feel like I was a bit off base at this point. Looking at my future moving forward, I didn't think I would survive. I wouldn't survive, bro. Dealing with patients and living through the chaotic situations. On top of that, I was very aware of the fact that this career would rob away my entire life. I was like, what the did I do? What if I made a different decision back when I was 16?
But for me, it was a treadmill, which was boring and had never been done before.
Yeah. Overall, the education system is fucked up. Part of our culture is fucked up, and we are all fucked up.
So it's more true to say that our mindset, which tries to accept everything people say without thinking, is fucked up traditionally.
Yeah.
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 So another thing is that I have vivid memories that I skipped a lot of classes, which ironically were about the subject I failed most, biochemistry. But I failed that for the first time. When I failed that for the first time, I didn't really want to memorize it anymore. It was really difficult for me, and I didn't take interest in it, and because I didn't want to. It's simple. So it is, instead of going into the class, I had to find something that would not make me go blank at that time. It was gaming. Okay, I feel like I'm taking my frustration on this podcast. Sorry, but I was asking myself, what is the point of choosing this, and is my future gonna be fun? I know someone who would be proud of me being the way they wanted me to be, but is it really good for me? Do I need to forget who I am for who I have to be in this society? Like, if something happened to me, who's gonna be taking my responsibility for me? But this is on me. I know, like, but for something I don't enjoy at all, I should have chosen what I love. If things are meant to be like this. So at least I would feel happy for what I chose after all. So I guess true freedom is meant to have an intrinsic value. If we want freedom, we have to fight for it.
Yeah. After all, it wasn't that bad actually. Well, we can meet new people, new opportunities, new mindset, and also new things to try out without your parents noticing it. I mean, you can play sports, musical classes, certain activities to keep you entertained, and even skipping classes could be an outlet to unleash your emotions. For me, I was obsessed with games, and I used to play like a professional. I know it's crazy, but yeah, it was one of the things that made me feel comfortable. What about you?
I got a chance to spend time with friends when I was broke. So playing games is an option, So I was pretty I was pretty broke back then, and there is something that turns me on.
Yeah.
That's editing, video editing. So I've never noticed that I was really good at editing both videos and photos, and it never failed me when I did get and wanted results. So I was happy doing that. So at that point, I joined a certain activity club, where I can put up my skills.
Yeah, I was also in the same team as you. It was like an outlet for me to do something unrelated to medicine, but still, I felt protective at the time.
Yeah, of course. Like choosing med school wasn't that bad, aside from all those frustrations I took in this episode. So I can be someone useful to some people, I guess. And I did find my thing out through this university. So it was your choice after all, no matter how much pressure you are being put under. So you still have to choose your way. By the way, everyone in my family predicted that I would become a doctor. So here I am, editing videos, doing YouTube, and being on the podcast. Like who knows, right?
Yeah, completely different from this kind of doctor career. So exactly, life per se has a lot of turning points where we do things we aren't expected to do, and that's what life is. Like life is
Of course.
full of unexpected things, and variety is the spice of life. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
After all, focusing only on one single field is not quite rational nowadays. Given this pandemic and other shitty situations going on, it's more beneficial for us to learn more about things beyond our main fields. You can learn language, you can learn how to play a particular instrument, you can learn how to master digital tools. Everything is available online in different forms. So, as we said earlier, in order to catch up with others, university education is not enough.
Yeah, of course.
But it's not to say that you should act like a know-all, which is of course impossible by all means.
Continuous learning is important. So we need to learn whatever
Yeah.
fits us for the sake of personal development, physically or emotionally, whatever. So we should also ask ourselves that what is the purpose of graduation?
Yeah.
So it might sound a little cliched, but knowledge that we acquire from the learning process and knowing how to apply such knowledge to practical work is essential. So that's what we need. On the other hand, what you're doing should also mirror your passion, your enthusiasm, and happiness.
We hope you like this podcast after listening. If what we discuss in this episode resonates with you at some point in your life, don't forget to leave a comment down below. We appreciate that. And to those who have recently graduated from high school and are yet to attend a university, we hope that you happen to learn something about applying to university and how important it is to set an important decision in your life. So, and if you have any trouble choosing what you want, please do seek advice or assistance from professionals or the person you usually look up to. Thank you so much. Have a nice day and stay safe. Bye.
Bye. Have a great time.
something about, applying to the university, and, psychological thing that is, fuck, I don't know what to say, bro. It's really ridiculous. It's ridiculous.